bias. Our minds will be negative. Our minds will be error, just like a computer system when you type with words. And some of your grammar, they say, just write red line, just put red line, error, error, error. About you is negative. If you think outside what the Bible has recommended for us, you're honest. You're pure in your dealings with men. Your heart is clouded with love. The Bible said the love of God sheds abroad in our home. It's a good report. And the report you give about Nigeria too is a good report. Does it mean that negative things will not happen around you? They will. But the Bible is admonishing us to be positive. A positive thinking pattern. Can I to disappear? Just be truthful to yourself. Every day you open Philippians chapter 4 verse 8. Look at, am I pure today in my dealings? Am I lovely today in my dealings? Do I present good reports about myself, about people around me today? You are thinking the one will change your pattern of thinking. Change it. In that your business, change it. The way you look at your husband or your wife, change it. The way you look at somebody might have a wonderful relationship with you, but because your mind is clouded with a lot of evil, a lot of negativity, you will not know, you will not see until there is a renewal of the mind, until you begin to embrace. If you call somebody stupid, towards you, the person will be stupid every time. When you're saying this person is foolish, all you'll be saying in that person's life towards you is foolishness. But to other people, you're very stupid. You're very foolish. There is nobody that have coconut head. Do something. There is something they know they don't know. So no head is coconut. God didn't create any coconut head. God created people in his image after his likeness. So every human being, whether you know God or not, they have the tendency, the capacity to be a co-creator with God. Because the virtue of God is inside of you. God, there is a God inside of you. You are the seed of God. Change your thinking pattern, though. This year, change your thinking pattern. Look at the neighbor. Change your thinking pattern. That your husband will see. What you want to see in your husband or your wife, begin to say it. Even when you're saying it and you're still not seeing it, just keep saying it. Don't get tired of saying it. Before you know it, because you're saying it and you refuse to give up in saying it, before you know it, there will be a transformation. Transformation will begin to happen. But when you see the man and say, yeah, man, now yeah, things not you to see. But outside there, it's not the yeah, man. Now you for house, now you call yeah, man. The same thing goes to the women. You see the woman as a not good for nothing woman. Outside, she's being celebrated though. Only you they see her as good for nothing woman. Change the way you think. Change the way you think. This is the thermometer of our thinking. Doctors are conducting spiritual heart surgery now. Hallelujah. Dr. Etuk is laughing. All of us are doctors now. Hallelujah. Number 3, and last, guide your hearts. Guide your heart. By the time you feel it, you need to guide it. In Proverbs 4, verse 23, the Bible says, guide your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Guide your heart with all diligence. I like the word all diligence. How you can manage your mind, your heart, employ it. Guide your heart with all diligence. Oh my God. The Bible chooses words so. But the Bible introduced the word all. You know why? For out of it are the issues of life. That is the reason why you must guide it with all diligence. Everything. God knew that our heart is the center of creation. Our heart is the center of creation. If you want to create anything, it begins with your heart. So he knew it. That the issues of life comes out from the heart. So he said, when you have filled it with Philippians 4:8, you need to introduce mental barricades. 2 Corinthians 10:4. 2 Corinthians 10:4. Media, help me. You are going to say, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Sorry, for the weapon of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, yes, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, yes, and having a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. The weapon of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold. Listen, our hearts can employ strongholds. And when those strongholds are negative, that we have allowed to dwell in our hearts, that have become a stronghold. If you don't root it out by renewing your mind and by having a positive thinking pattern, you will regret your life. So but when you have filled it with Philippians chapter 4 verse 8, the Bible expects that you do this. Casting down. In other words, listen, even if your heart is positive, negative thoughts once in a while will pass through. But don't allow them to stop. When negative thoughts stop passing, don't put this is bus stop. But the Bible said, casting down imaginations. In other words, there are some negative imaginations that will pass through. For it not to stop, you cast it. You cast it out. He said, this negative thought, I refuse to allow you to stop. He said, and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God. In other words, there are thoughts that will come to exalt themselves above what you know about God. When those thoughts comes, wisdom demands that we cast them down. When you try to look, you don't negotiate with what you're supposed to cast out. Because you don't have the power to negotiate with it. When the Bible said, cast out, cast it down. The moment you negotiate and romance with it, sorry, particularly when they're negative. Cast down is not negotiate or reason. There's a place the Bible. That is against spiritual law and natural law. Because when you negotiate, you don't have the power to do the negotiation. Definitely, it will win, not you. So don't give them room for negotiation. What you should do, you have the power to cast down, not to negotiate. So when you're doing that, casting down, you're building a barricade over your hearts so that negative thoughts guide your heart from dreams that you have that is negative. Guide your hearts from words that men tells you that are negative. Guide your heart from the things you see that are negative. Guide your heart from the things you perceive that are negative. Guide your heart. Guide your heart. It's important we do this. But I want to encourage you this year that if you must arise and do things and make things happen for you this year, you must arise to think differently. And one of the ways you can do it is to learn to handle and a young man was in that congregation it was a Wednesday, either Wednesday or Friday evening like this. And I preached this message on handling your thoughts. And a young man was there whom I discovered much later when he began to share his testimony to me. That he was working in UAE, I think in Qatar or Abu Dhabi. Either Qatar or Abu Dhabi. He was living in Lagos then. He was making so much money. He has a lot of certifications, some of his certifications that he has. It takes millions to get them. And they have expiration date. So somehow, the company was working with in UAE, relieved him of his job, and he didn't plan anything. He has invested his money somewhere, it had not yield, so he was just left with nothing. He was just frustrated. So out of the frustration, he now relocated to Port Harcourt and was squatting with a friend. Was going hungry. He was moving about from one company to the other in Transamadi, industrial area of Port Harcourt. He went to Shell, he went to Ajib, he went to many places. And each time, the manager that will attend to him or the people that will attend to him will say, "You're even more qualified than me, so we can't employ you." Imagine somebody who is more qualified than people he's going to seek employment from. When you present his certificate, his certifications are too intimidating. Very intimidating. Those in Shell, it was intimidating to them. Those in Ajib, it was intimidating to them. Those in NNPC, it was intimidating to them. In private sectors, it was more intimidating to them. So he has walked all over the place. They say you are qualified, you overqualify you, but you see, you can't employ you. Just imagine that you went for an by your certifications and by your experience. But we can't employ you. You see, wahala. You don't qualify, wahala. You qualify, wahala. The young man was moving about the city of Port Harcourt and he was frustrated and tired. Out of that frustration, he came to church that evening. And that evening he told me that he never wanted to come to church. He came, and what he just said, handling your thoughts. And God took me in a dimension that I don't know how I went that day, but I know I went somehow by God. And he was there under the teaching. And while he was sharing testimony from me, he said from that day he decided that he will not again go to any company. He will have to work for himself and generate and employ people. Do you know that after 3 months or 4 months, after 3 months of consultant, and before he moves, big bigum will enter the account. You know that one where they enter this in the phone will vibrate. Before he moves, so for training, he was training staffs, church staffs, agents. Chevron staff, Moby staffs, private sectors, he was training them. As at the time I met him, he came one day and said he wanted to carry me. He was not a member, but he just became a member. After then, he now carried me to his office complex. I was wowed. And he began to share the testimony. He said, Pastor, it is your teaching that brought me to this level. I said, wow. Before you know, NDD is from Bogoja.